Martin, hello Terry. Right, go live. Let's see what happens now. Okay guys, we're trying again and see what happens. Hello Martin, hello Terry. All two of you. I'm not a happy chappy, but nevertheless, we can keep trying. Even if you don't get the turning, any turning done. Hello Rob. Again. Let's put my face on. Let's put Pete's face on.
Hi guys, thanks for assisting.
Pete, you're not showing up.
I'm not showing up.
No.
That's all right. They don't want to see my face anyway.
No,
we hear me or not.
No. I want you on, mate. NDI source. What's going on here? Yeah. You should be on. Shouldn't you?
Should be. Check the properties on the NDI source in case I've come in on a different link.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm there on audio for the chat. If anybody would let me know.
And where's it in the settings, Pete? In Skype.
Go to properties of the NDI in OBS.
Properties,
Go down the properties. Just make sure you've got the current live link.
Source timing, highest MP or Skype active speaker. ndinewtech.com.
Yeah, it should be right.
Don't know why you're not in there though. Again, apologies guys, we're having some technical issues, trying to sort them out.
Martin, gentle turn says he can hear me, so that's
yeah, but he can't see you. That's weird. I wonder. No, you see, I've got a box there. That's what the problem is, isn't it? You're not in the box, mate. There's nothing in the box. There's no Pete in the box. Don't understand that because the box is there, but you ain't.
Perhaps I've gone invisible.
Yeah. If I get rid of you on the NDI, right?
Yeah.
And now add you NDI source. Add existing, yeah.
Yeah.
No. No, it hasn't done it, mate. It will not do it. Will not do it.
Well, you can hear me, and it's a turning we're here for, so let's do some turning.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, it's gone. No, it's gone. It's gone again. My thing's gone again.
Well, YouTube appears to be working from this end.
Yeah, it's just cut out. YouTube has just disappeared. There we
Still
go.
Running.
Yeah, but I'm not getting a very good. Getting a very poor signal. It's gone green again now. That is really strange. And what's even stranger is I can't get you up on here. Right, guys, I do apologise for... oh, there's nobody there. Hang on.
Well, I've got them. I've got chat running, and I've got you on YouTube.
All right, we're here now. Yeah, okay, we're in now. Let's have a look. Yeah, to all 34 of you that have come back, I do appreciate it. There is a good chance there won't be any turning, but I just want to sort this thing out once and for all. I can't put Pete in a box, Stuart. You're right, I can't. This is really annoying. Now, just out of interest, can if Pete says something, can you hear him? Okay.
Yeah, they can hear me.
They can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. It's this NDI thing. There must be somewhere in Skype where you can add NDI, surely.
Well, that's in chat, live chat, and it's a permanent setting, so it should be there.
Maybe I turned it off by mistake when I was going through everything. It doesn't give it any option, does it, in general or anything? Audio and video, no, nothing in there. Cancellation, speed test audio, blah, blah, blah. OBS virtual camera, yep. Yep. Really, really strange.
I have a suspicion that rebooting the router might set up a different link. So we've got a cross link.
Right. So the only way to solve that is to shut the whole computer down and start again, isn't it?
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I won't
Go
do
and turn
that.
a bowl. Go and turn a bowl. You can hear me. You just can't see me.
All right. Okay, guys, we're gonna carry on a little bit. I'm just been an hour. I'm gonna have a. You were right, Pete. You haven't got the internet.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I'm just for 1 second going to the break because you know why I do that, because I'm stressed out now.
Rob, StreamYard can be easier, but it doesn't give everything we want. This normally works, but
I've never had a problem with this. It's actually, Rob, I don't think it's the software. It is the Tinterweb is a problem. It's not Stream Deck. It's not OBS. I think it's YouTube and Tinterweb, because I was losing my signal for some reason, or the signal wasn't getting through. Anyway, okay. Pete will carry on with verbal. Okay.
I can still talk, Mike, when you can't see me, so that's good.
Yeah, that's all right. Which is the best one to do? That one there, is it? No.
That's
if I'm
good.
doing.
Cutting the side, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just going to finish off the side here.
Yeah. Overhead on the main view and tailstock in the preview window.
Or this one. That one there. That one there.
Nice, yeah.
Okay, we'll do that one there. And what I'm doing here, I'm just actually I can show you there. Just this little bit here, because I want to make the I had to make the tenon a little bit deeper, which is what I'm trying to do here. And I will attempt to do that. So again, just lower the handle and use the left wing, and that's got that nice there. Now I can go, if I move the tailstock back a bit, shorten the handle, I can then do a push cut from here to get the shape again. tester there. A little bit of TLC here. I'm just using the bottom wing, and the top wing is just off the surface, just to refine that little bit of shape there. I will be spinning it around at the very end to take the foot off anyway, so that will be concave anyhow. Just very light, just to get that. Turn your lathe off, as you always should, of course. And then just bring him around. Again, I can lengthen the handle again, because I do like long handles. And then I want to be over here at the end, so lean away from the cut. Follow the contour around. All I'm doing with my left hand is putting pressure down through the tool to the tool rest. Little bump there, just a very light cut. Just pick up the cut. Fall off it, that's got it there. And then just the end. Little crack coming there, nothing to worry about. And just follow it from here around. Pick up the cut. Moving around. Just to about there. I think that...
Rob's just pointing out you've not left enough room for a captive ring.
Yeah, it's gone, Pete. Pete, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone, mate. And yet, it's YouTube is showing an excellent connection, but it's not an excellent connection. Mike is in Luton area, BT reporting out.
YouTube going out.
Ah, right, okay. Thank you, Mole Valley Maker. Yeah, okay. That's me. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. Okay, guys, I really don't know what to say. I will thank the 43 of you very much for sticking with me and coming back more than once. But I think that it's really not going to be a good experience. It's certainly not a good experience for me. But I do really appreciate it. I really don't want to carry on. All I'm going to be doing now is sanding anyway, because I've got the basic shape, if you can see it or hear me. I have the basic shape that I was looking for. I would now sand this, but what I shall do, as I explained, I'll leave this on the screw chuck, and on my next live, which is going to be unfortunately 3 weeks hence, we'll put it back on and finish it. The thing is now that everything is looking good and green again. I don't know. And yet YouTube isn't.
Yeah. YouTube is running again here, but
yeah,
how long for?
The strange thing is now that my signal here on OBS is showing green and excellent, and my YouTube is showing far from excellent. YouTube is now not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming. We'll give it a couple of minutes and see if it sorts itself out. But I think what's happening is there's a problem in Luton, which is only, I don't know, 20 miles away from where I live, south. DL Derek is saying it's the first live I've watched for over 6 months, and this happens. Sorry for you, mate. I'm sorry for you as well, Derek. But I don't know if you can still hear me. That's the problem.
They can hear you, I think. YouTube appears to be back up and running at the moment.
Okay. Right, I'm going to have another break and a vape because I get really stressed out now. Right, not very professional, but then neither is YouTube. Michelle Higgins, while it buffers, it's a good reminder of the technical complexities, equipment, software, and experience. Yes, very true, Michelle. Yeah, the thing is, it doesn't matter what you've got. If you haven't got a decent connection between me or whoever, and it's rubbish. But it seems to be okay now. I've still got a warning on YouTube, but how's it coming through to you guys?
Well, I've got it on a tablet at the moment on YouTube, and
Yeah,
that's running.
it's running okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still a bit annoyed that I can't get Pete up, but nevertheless, because what I'm going to be doing now is sanding, and nothing is more boring, is it? I'll keep an eye. Pete, if you
Benjamin's got a question. So, can you show the reverse lock on the SK114? Do you have that on yours?
can I show the what?
The reverse lock on the SK114.
I've taken them all out on mine. Oh, what the reverse lock is?
You haven't got it on that one.
No, I haven't. No, I don't think I've got it on any of them actually.
It's about a 12mm half-inch-ish collar on the back.
No, I haven't.
With
no.
3 grub screw holes in it that go into the channel behind the thread. Can't show you because I can't get a picture up, but but it's in my hand. I'm holding it towards the camera, so you know. Put it down.
I tell you what, this is a proper job. This, I tell you, this is so annoying. I can't apologise enough to everybody because I do spend a lot of time, believe it or not, trying to get things sorted, and I just can't understand why we can't see Pete. I'm going to have one more go at that, and then I'll try some sanding because I really don't want to bore you with sanding. NDI source. No,
compensation, is it?
No.
Save them watching the sanding, they can look at me instead.
Well, you can talk. Well, you can talk over me anyway.
I can talk anyway.
Yeah. NDI source. Let's try a new one, shall we? Yeah. Create new or add existing.
Create new.
It's not giving me an existing one. Create new. Source name. Skype local. Yeah. Bandwidth higher, source timing, allow hardware partial. Okay. Still not there. Oh, hang on. Whoa.
What's happened there?
That's my NDI source. So you should come up on there, surely.
Yeah, but if you've got the right one.
Again, apologies, people.
3 different Skype sources in the properties.
Right. Hang on. Properties. I got Skype. Skype local. That's all I've got.
You said you'd be doing some embellishing, and YouTube has blown a few because it can't handle that possibility.
Yeah, that could actually be very true. No, NDI, new tech, no, defaults. No, still not doing it. Discard. Okay, I've got to give one more go, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll see. Okay, so plus NDI source. Add existing. There isn't an existing one. Create new. Okay. Source name, or the only option it gives me, Pete, is MPW Skype local.
And there are no other options.
No, no other options.
Yeah, that requires a reboot then.
What? Skype?
Computer.
Computer.
So we
Okay.
ain't doing that.
No. Oh, let's get rid of that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna have to watch me sanding.
You do the sanding. I'll juggle the skews in the background as we agreed. And,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds
you
really.
can imagine it then.
Sounds good to me. Is that a good view for sanding? Not that there's ever a good view for sanding, but
yeah, it's a grand view for sanding.
Right. I've just got to. You got to. I don't know how the sound's going to be because I will definitely have the.
Apparently, you've got NDI source turned on the audio. Turn that off.
Sorry. Oh, right. Oh, God. That's done it on itself. Believe it or not, NDI audio isn't even showing on here.
Okay. Apparently, I'm echoing.
Oh, would that be desktop audio then?
No, that should be fine. You just see echoing on this camera, guys.
This is becoming a bit of a nightmare. Unhide all. Yeah, there's no NDI source showing at all.
That's good.
Yeah, but it's not good.
Get on with the sanding, Mike. I'll juggle these skews. I would juggle the chainsaws, but that would be too noisy.
Hang on. Okay. All right, guys. Again, I'm not going to keep apologising. So I'm going to start with 120. I like to use the inertia sander on the outside of a bowl, but I tend to use a power sander drill on the inside because that's easier for the middle bits, in my opinion. And the same edict, if you like, is true for power sanding, inertia sanding, whatever. Keep the same pressure for each grit, because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is that the scratches, because that's essentially what you're doing with sanding, from the coarser grit are not going to be removed by the next grit, the next finer grit.
The other important tip is not too much pressure.
Yeah.
Too much pressure just makes heat, and heat melts glue, and your pads come apart.
Exactly.
Anthony Green, that is the Simon Hope inertia sander.
This is the Simon Hope inertia sander. Yeah.
That one is a bearing-driven one rather than a bush-driven one, and it's good.
But like with everything, you have to practice to get the best from it. Sometimes it works really well for me. Well, it always works well for me, but sometimes I don't treat it correctly, so it doesn't give me the best results. And that means I'm not getting a consistent, because of my arthritis, I have to hold it different ways. Sometimes my fingers lock. All the excuses that I can give.
Question is, what grit are you starting with, Mike?
Sorry?
What grit are you starting at?
120. And then 180. And on the outside, what I got to do is Yorkshire grit sanding sealer Yorkshire Grit Hampshire Sheen on the outside, and on the inside we're going to embellish it, and the embellishing is going to be the Hampshire Sheen bronze embellishing wax, because that really does bring out the grain, especially in ash. But we won't be doing that tonight, I don't think.
No, you two can't cope with that.
No. And we're still looking green everywhere, so Luton has sorted itself out, I think. The only thing we've got to do, which we could do that after, Pete, if you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, we can play around afterwards.
We'll sort that out afterwards. So that was 180. We've got a few tool marks there, which are not very good. So we'll carry on a bit longer here. Shouldn't really be sanding these out, you see, but if I wasn't doing a demo, what I would do is spend a bit more time.
Yes, Benjamin, if you need to buy a new chuck, then just say that Mike said you had to do it.
Yeah.
Blame Mike for everything.
Blame me. I do get blamed for a lot of things, let me tell you.
Well, mostly because you're guilty for a lot of things.
Yes, couldn't agree more. So I'm just spending a bit longer on sanding than I would like to normally, because I've got a few marks on here. If I wasn't doing a demo, I most probably go back over with the gouge, do a couple of light cuts, but I'm not going to do that. So whatever, it's basically the methodology again. So we should go now to 240. Now I normally go to 320 with Yorkshire Grit, even with Yorkshire Grit, although it is recommended. You only need to go to 240. And the whole idea of an abrasive paste like Yorkshire Grit is it negates the need to sand to the finer grits. And the finer grits obviously produce much finer dust particles, and they're the ones that get into your lungs a lot easier, and they're more difficult to filter. So you can actually, you're not having to sand to those finer grits, and that is one of the big advantages of Yorkshire Grit. So we'll go to 240 as suggested. Now,
Graham or Cunning Stunts is asking which of the 3 holes on the long grind do you use for your
right.
Pro Edge?
Okay, let's turn this off. We'll turn it into a questions and answers as well, Graham. That'll be fine. Right, okay. Go to the Pro Edge. I use, is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
For my bowl gouges, I use 45 degrees on the Pro set, or 45 number on the Pro set, and the middle hole, and that gives me an approximate 55 degree angle on my bowl gouges.
53.
Sorry?
5 degrees per hole.
Right. Well, I say 53, 53, 55. It's not an exact science for me. So if I measure it one day, it's most probably my measuring technique, but that'll give you a 55 degree bevel on your bowl gouge. And I use that for both my half and my 3/8 bowl gouges. The inside one, quite a while ago, I bought another jig, and I use that purely for my spindle gouges. I've altered the leg, and I put that into the front for my detail gouge, the 3/8 spindle gouge, and that gives me a 35 degree bevel on my spindle gouge. So I just use those 2 holes. Hope that answers your question, Graham. And bearing in mind, that is just me, of course. There are many other permutations that you could use to obtain different shapes and different bevel angles. but that's what I find works for me. Okay, so now we're going to give it a change of camera because Pete isn't doing his job properly. That one or this one, I don't know. That one, I think.
I like the colour on that one. Go with that.
Yeah, it's because it's a proper video camera. Okay, so basically what I like to do is to apply the, this is pre-thinned, Hampshire sheen pre-thinned sanding sealer. And the reason I like pre-thinned as opposed to neat, as it were, is because it absorbs into the grain and the fibres better, and it dries a little quicker as well, or goes off a little quicker. So sometimes I'll apply 2 coats, but I'd rather 2 coats of thinner than 1 globby coat of the neat, if you like. And that's something I've done for many, many years, rightly or wrongly. But I'm lazy now, so I don't mix my own. I buy it ready mixed from Martin Saban Smith's Hampshire sheen. Okay.
More Value Maker says, I still think the main issue is Mike using the word embellishment. Next week, Mark will be turning a pen with a CA finish, and Pete will be turning a goblet with a captive ring. True story. And I've got to say, I've actually got an order in at the moment to take a goblet with a captive ring, so I will be turning one.
And you're going to be videoing it?
2 captive rings, and no, I won't be videoing it.
Oh dear.
No, but people will know that I actually do them, and I still deny it.
Okay. I do them as well, but not on bowls. In actual fact, there is a school of thought that, I mean, I have done captive rings with screw chisels, yes, but I bought many, many, many years ago a captive ring tool, and I took the end off it, if you like, because I didn't like that, and that's what I use. But it can be done with a screw chisel, and it can be done with a 35-degree spindle gouge as well, but I don't recommend that. But I've just tried it, it does work, but I just use the captive ring tool. I think the big problem with captive rings is getting that round profile on the inside of the ring, because when it comes off you do get a little ridge, and it is experience, I suppose, to part it off at the very last minute, which means that you've got less of a ridge to cope with and to sand away. And I don't know if you agree with that, Pete.
Yeah, it's I mean, personally, I don't like them. I don't like them as a thing to look at. I don't like cutting them, but I do cut them because people want it. But,
yeah, that's right.
You know, I'm my skills are for sale. Whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah.
So if people say cut this for me, I'll cut it, but it doesn't mean I like it.
No, that's true. Okay. So now that
Anthony Green said, "What would you dilute your sanding sealer with?"
When I did my own mix, I used cellular sanding sealer, cellular thinners, and I did a 3-to-1. A lot of people do 50-50. I did 3 of sanding sealer to 1 of thinners. That worked well with me. Nothing wrong with the 50-50. It was just something I did, and I didn't see the reason of changing it, because it worked for me. It's got my face, but as I say, I don't know what mix this one is that I use now, but it's a mix that works for me. Everybody will have their own recipes. The only reason I like to thin it down, I don't always, sometimes use neat on some things, but very rarely on things like this. It's normally on something that needs a bit of strengthening, a bit of punky wood or something. I'll use the neat on that. More as a hardener than a sealer, if you see what I mean. Okay, so we'll go back to that one. Now with the Yorkshire grit, again, less is more. I like to apply it with the piece.
Dave Schiff is watching from Texas.
Hello, Dave.
And he wants to know your opinion on using carbide versus traditional.
I have no opinion insofar as which is better, which isn't. I like traditional tools better. Purely and simply because I want to learn how to use them properly. I've been learning how to use them properly and still learning. Nothing against carbide. I use carbide for hollowing. But for turning, I have never used carbide for turning other than hollowing. That's the only time I will use carbide, but that's just me. There's nothing wrong with carbide, especially the ones now which are dished and they cut as opposed to scrape. Okay, so start the lathe a little bit on the low side, 350, 400 RPM, and that's basically, you don't get an eye full of Yorkshire grit. Now again, the same as with sanding, you want to use the same pressure, not too much pressure, and the whole idea of Yorkshire grit, it is an abrasive paste with some magical ingredients, which I have no idea which they are. All I do know is I think it's Welsh iron rotten stone that's in here. But the idea is to break that down, and remembering we only sanded up to 240. I did 120, 180, 240. I normally go to 320 as well, but that's just me. Now turn up a little bit and just keep working it in. Now it might take 2 or 3 minutes, but if you're sanding properly, it's going to take you 2 or 3 minutes to get to your 600 grit. And when this is finished, it has an equivalent of approximately 1000 grit sanding. So if you were sanding physically all the way through the grits to 1000 grit, it would take no longer. In fact, this is a bit quicker. So now you turn the speed up again, and now we're doing about 800 revs, 800 RPM, and the object of the exercise is to just change the part of the towel. Just keep going until you get no residue on your paper towel. And I am pleased to report I did a vase which had a third of it missing, and I decided to try an experiment because I'd heard that you can put Danish oil over the top of Yorkshire grit, so I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go, and it works fine. It works fine. However, I normally use Yorkshire grit in combination with a wax, and in my case it's Hampshire sheen wax for no other reason is that I think it's a good wax and I use it. But Yorkshire grit is not a final finish, and it's not meant to be a final finish. Although it gives a nice shine, it's not resistant like a wax finish. So because you get a nice shiny, like it's shining up now, and you feel when it's ready because it's like glass, and that means that you've got rid of all the little bits of grit, and you can get streaks with Yorkshire grit or radial marks if you're too aggressive in the early stages when the grit is at its largest. So the same pressure through the whole process is ideal. I don't always achieve it, mind you, I'll have to say. So
the bigger the surface, the more difficult it is to get the same pressure across it.
Yes, exactly. So now a fresh paper towel, I whack the speed up a little bit, just to 1000 revs, just on 1000 revs, and the same pressure, just go working through. And as hopefully the camera will pick that up, there's no residue. So just a perfectly clean towel. So that is ready. But in addition to the fact that that is now ready for wax, I tend to just leave it a little bit and give it a final buff, just because I can. So I'll come back to my face. All the instructions that are given to you with various things are obviously advisory, because the person who produces it suggests that's the best way to get from it, but you can obviously tweak it here and there. I just like to leave it a little bit longer, and I'll give it another little buff just to make sure it's perfectly dry. Is not a word I like to use. It's not curing, but it's just that it's ready to put the wax on. Some people have reported in the past that, I get a problem getting a shine with the wax and so on. My suggestion for that problem arising is, number one, you're not getting rid of all the grit in the Yorkshire grit. You're not getting a smooth surface, and you're applying your wax, whatever it is, on top before the Yorkshire grit is really ready to receive it. So leaving it a couple more minutes, apart from in a demo, which is very boring, obviously, isn't
I have
a
a much more
problem.
scientific method than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's 12 minutes. Because 12 minutes is how long it takes me to leave the workshop, get to the kitchen, make a coffee, and get back to the workshop.
That's there. You see, I just wish I could have your picture there, Pete. So you can see me, can't you? No, I can't see you though, unfortunately. Yeah, everybody's got their own formula, but I just I've had a problem myself in the early days when I was using Yorkshire grit and wax, that I wasn't getting the finish I was looking for. And when I actually went back to it, I thought, oh, hang on a minute, it's not really what I would. It's still got that sort of feel to it. It's not dry. And as I say, I don't like the word dry because that really covers a multitude of things. Glue doesn't dry, it cures. Okay. But Yorkshire grit needs that little bit as well. It depends on your workshop, on the atmosphere, the temperature, the humidity, etc., etc. So like Pete says, give it 12 minutes, which is going off to make a cup of tea and coming back. Me, I sit down, have a vape, check my mail on the phone, and then I come back and do it. I'm in no rush. Now when I feel that
James
now,
Coney is saying, can you put acrylic lacquer or oil after Yorkshire grit, or is it wax only?
no,
I have done.
Yeah.
Well, not acrylic lacquer, but I have used
No,
oil on it.
I haven't acrylic lacquered, but again, I used Danish oil on top of Yorkshire grit, and it was fine. It was fine. So the answer is yes, but I don't know about acrylic. I don't know. Okay, so when I go back to this now, I feel it, and it's nice and smooth. I'll just give it a quick, just to get rid of any tiny little bits that might be on there, but it is really slick to the feel. There's nothing sort of like impeding, nothing is dragging, nothing is catching. So that's that. Now we get the Yorkshire grit, Hampshire sheen, using high gloss. And again, sometimes, quite often, I'll put 2 coats of this on. And again, with most things, less is more. And especially if you've got inclusions and anything, because it gets all stuck in there, as does the Yorkshire grit. But a light coat, and maybe you might want to put another coat on. But rather 2 light coats than one big splodge. And that reduces, you see there, I've got a couple of marks there, but because this is demo, I'm not going to worry. I might even cut them out. I might even get rid of them for the time it's straight on the other side. So just wipe that on at a fairly low speed to begin with. Just rub it in, and no great pressure. And again, a suggestion which was from Martin, and I've followed it ever since, is you work from in a bowl's case, you work from the center out. And the reason for that is it reduces the risk of lines. A nice, easy motion all the way through to the end. And again, turn off and wait for it to be ready to buff, which again, in my case, normally is about 12 minutes. In Pete's case, it's 12 minutes. In mine, it's 5 to 10, depending how I feel, how warm it is. Because with wax, any wax, if you go back to it too soon, or if you start buffing it too soon, you're going to generate a lot of heat, and heat can cause streaking, but also it might not just be ready for final buffing. So I don't have a problem leaving it for about 5-10 minutes, or as I say, the optimum time is 12 minutes before buffing. I'm looking at this tenon, and I really don't think it's going to be too small, I think, but never mind. We might get away with it. But it
Dave
is.
Rothwell's packing for a trip to Canada. He's leaving on the 29th of September.
Yes, I know. And Dave's coming to visit us, Dave and Fee. I will get back to you tomorrow, hopefully, Dave, because I shall know what I'm doing in October. And then we can work out a day. Dave and Fee, I say kindly, it's not kindly. It's kind that Fee comes, but it's not so good that Dave comes. But they come over every time they come to the UK, and we spend a day with them, and we hit it off from day one. And they're a great pair of people, and I really enjoy their company. I said it in public, Dave. There you go. I had the pleasure of meeting their family last time they were over, and we had a great time with them as well. The family are much better than Dave and Fee, but there you go.
I understand the exchange rate on any form of view timber for maple burls is very good at the moment.
All right, okay. Thanks for telling me that. You might want to. I'll keep that in mind. Believe you me, Pete, I will. And for those of you that have just joined, this is a bit disjointed because you've had bad technical problems, and I'm pleased to report that those seem to be okay now. But the problem was with a town south of us. We're having big problems with broadband, and that was affecting us as well. But it seems to be okay now. Stuart is saying, keep it cool. That's right. If you start streaking, it might affect your view. In case you missed that, heat causes streaking. Keep it cool then, Mike says, Stuart, because if you start streaking, it might affect your viewing figures. Yeah, it might well indeed, might increase them a bit, you know. It's quite a body under here, you know, a lot of relaxed muscle. And funny enough, since my back went about 6-7 weeks ago, I do a session of exercises every single morning, including weights. And I do feel better. I'm aching a lot, but I've lost a bit of fat, and a bit of it's gone to muscle. Not a lot, but a bit. But yeah, okay. So I think I'm going to put Mr. Bull Gouge back in his rack, because knowing me, when I come back, I'll lose it. Okay, so we'll go back to the picture-in-picture, and yeah, it hasn't got any stickiness to it, if you like. So now is the final buff. Again, it depends what speed you want to do. I like to put it up to just over 1,000 revs, because I don't put a lot of pressure on. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on, because again, you will cause streaking. Okay, so again, just nice and gently back and forth, finishing off always at the edge. I'm not actually going that way, I'm only going this way. That's the way I do it. And you're basically moving any excess that might be there towards the edge of the bowl. And one more maybe, and I think...
Radar the woodturner has joined us. He said, hi Mike and everyone, sorry I'm late.
That's
I was
okay.
playing my new electric chainsaw.
Oh, I don't blame you. Far more interesting than me. Okay, so there we finished the outside of the bowl. Now, on this particular bowl, as you can see, if I go to the overhead only, you can see that the figure is quite prolific and quite pronounced. Now, quite often on ash, it's not quite as defined as that, and it's more sort of like this, if you like, if you can imagine that in the lighter areas. But this is really nice. But on the inside, the embellishment I was talking about is going to be an embellishing wax, a bronze embellishing wax, to enhance the figure on the inside of the bowl. That's the idea. Now, it's nearly 2 hours since we started. I know that we've been out a lot of it, but I think it might be an idea to call it a day on the turning, answer any questions, have a little chat like we normally do, and then on my next live, which will be at least, and hopefully it will be 3 weeks, because I'm away for 2, and I'm working on the Sunday that I come back on the Saturday, and I got to work on the Sunday. But the following Sunday I'm off, so it'll be whatever Sunday that is, about the 20-somethingth of September will be my next live, and we will finish that bowl off. And I have to say, and I might get shot down in flames here. Had we not had the problems, I think in actual fact I would have finished the bowl, which amazes me. Because people ask me quite often, how long does it take you to do this? How long does it take you to do that? Well, I never time myself, especially with bowls. I might have 2 or 3 bowls on the go at the same time, you know. So it's quite a good exercise for me. And for those of you that didn't realise in the very beginning, it's the first time I've turned a bowl on a live. So it was quite an experience for me as well. Excuse me. So
I
yeah,
always find the outside of the bowl is 3/4 of the job.
yes,
The inside doesn't take long at all.
no, it does with
You've
me.
already got your shape, already got your design. It's just cut it out.
Yeah. And you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. We'll just go to the overhead. But I like this shape, the standard, what I call a classic shape. I did go through a phase of doing OGs, Roman OG. It does work on platters rather well, in my opinion, but I do like chunky bowls. Obviously, I, as others, turn thin wall bowls. You know, they're not very practical, but it is a skill builder. Of that there is no doubt. But a nice chunky bowl with some good figure on it is just about right. And when you pick it up, it feels substantial. You know. So that's what we'll do. And I keep apologising, but I am really sorry that we had these problems. But they were, for once, out of my control. Apart from the fact we can't see Pete. Just imagine if Mark had been here as well, it would have been a double success. You wouldn't have been able to see either of them. So.
Well, Mark could be here. You just pretend he's here, but being quiet.
Yes, he
Lost
is.
his voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The day that happens, I know, Mark. Yeah, the day that happens, hell will freeze over. Okay.
Nigel's saying, is it Brian or Mark on the live tomorrow night? It's Brian this week. That'll be 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, and it's Terry on at 1 o'clock tomorrow lunchtime. And it is Terry because he's not on holiday for a change.
See,
when
I'm
I
not.
first started turning, I was taking some instruction from an RPT who's long since passed away now. And he said to me, unless it's heavy, it's not a fruit bowl. If you can't throw an apple in it and it doesn't tip over, and it does tip over rather, it's not a fruit bowl. So make them heavy. Yeah.
No, I think that there is obviously, you know, I touched on it in my sort of limited arty ability in the aesthetics. I mean, there are I mean, I've turned bowls. I'm sure all of you have various shapes and sizes and thinnesses and so on. Yeah, aesthetically, some look good, but they're not practical. But they're not. I don't think they're turned to be practical. They're turned to be a piece to be looked at. A piece to be admired with regards to the skill in getting it to whatever wall thickness it may be, and indeed achieving the shape. I mean, I personally, again, as I keep saying, I'm not a bolt turner. I had a problem with OGs. I can do an OG, but it's getting the balance of that OG. I mean, Glenn Lucas is a master at it, and I'm sure other people watching tonight are masters at it. Glenn does it in a very methodical way. He splits the bowl up in his mind because he's done so many thousand bowls over the years, but he teaches doing it in a certain way, splitting it into thirds basically, and doing the 2 curves and then blending the other curve in. That's fine. I tend to do it by eye. Doesn't mean to say I get it right. That's most probably why I don't get it right most of the time. But you know when you've done it, you put that bowl there and you think, that doesn't look right. You know, it's either too bulbous at the bottom, or it doesn't go in enough, or your inward curve, your concave curve goes in too soon or too late, whatever. So it's a very, you know, it's not as easy as it sounds, as is not a standard, what I call classic bowl shape. To do a simple bowl and get it to look right is not as easy as it sounds. But when you do, you know, because you look at it and you think, yep, that looks right, you know, to your eye. But I agree with Pete. If you're doing production stuff or you're doing stuff for practical use, you need to have something a bit substantial, you know. tomorrow night we'll turn his
Also, I
signals.
think the OG shape is a bit like aubergine bathrooms. It belongs in the 70s.
Yeah, I can agree. But
I do quite like cutting it, and I do like it, as you said, on platters, something a bit shallower. But I think it's quite an old-fashioned shape for a bowl these days.
yeah. And by the way, guys, I'm sure you'll be pleased to know I won't be putting this up on YouTube tonight. I'll be taking it down, I mean, as soon as I stop the live, because there'll be too many things in it. So that's why I'm vaping in public, because it shan't be going on YouTube. But no, again, it's a very personal thing. Well, I hope that you that are remained, I will say I hope you've enjoyed the evening, but I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do, and I'll let you watch this as I do it, just to make sure. And I'm going to be taking this bowl off again now. It doesn't matter quite so much now that the tenon is big enough. And I'll say this now: if it's not big enough, what I will do is before my next live, I'll do another one. Are we going to make it? Yeah, look at that. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. That's okay. Right, I'm going to leave that there now, for now. Okay, that's good. All right, guys and girls, I think we're back. It's marvellous, isn't it? Now we're back to really good streaming and everything is perfect. No widgets being asked to be downloaded. Yes, it is. It's still asking me to open the widget, but I think everything is okay. What I would like... Yeah, Rob, you're right. Jimmy. Rob has just said that Jimmy Clues explains how to do the OG very well. He does. I'd explain how to do it, but you wouldn't understand, Rob, because I'm not sure myself. But when are you going to do the hybrid with the bowl gouge, Mike? Right, Geordie, yes. I put a thing up on social media asking, and I wasn't being tongue-in-cheek, it was genuine, because I have never turned resin. And I just wanted to know what the consensus of opinion was. I was of the opinion that traditional tools will do, providing they are sharp and light cuts. But I just wanted to know people who have turned resin what they preferred. And to my surprise, the vast majority of people who replied, and thank you all for your input, said traditional tools. And I was slightly amazed at that because, you know, you just feel that people are going to say, oh, it's got to be carbide for resin. So I am waiting on some release, is it? Spray release? Because I got some resin, some aluminite, amazing clear aluminite last year. But it was literally, I had to put it into hot water to get it to flow properly, and it was really cold in the workshop all the time. So I decided to leave it until the warmer weather. Well, I haven't done it up to now, but I've got a situation now where I've got a couple of things. That vase I did, and I'm not being conceited, this vase here, which has still got to get a couple more coats of oil on it. I've got another piece of mulberry, not quite the same as that, but it has the outcrops on it. So I cut it in half, so I've got two pieces about that big, and I've got some of this packing stuff that you can hot glue together to make a mold, and I'm going to just try it, and I'm going to pour some stuff over the next couple of weeks and try it and see. So it will be a bowl. I don't know what it'll be some sort of hollow form, I would think, or something. But yeah, that's why I asked the question. Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, I'm again, as I say, I'm a little bit peeved, but nevertheless, you've all come back, or most of you have come back. It's been a good evening. It is bank holiday at the end of the day, and hopefully we'll get Pete and Mark back next time in view for you, instead of you having to watch my ugly mug all the time. So it's just on the 2 hour mark now, guys, since we've gone. So, well, yeah, in 3 or 4 parts, I'd like to thank you all very much for turning up and sticking with me, especially you hardier folk. Have a great couple of weeks. I'm away, as I say, for a few weeks now, and I hope to be back. Let me just check the calendar to give you the exact date. Not that I really mind, because it means you can put it in your diary and make sure you're not available. Yeah, 26th. It'll be Sunday. My next live will be on Sunday, the 26th of September. All being well, I will finish this bowl off. Okay, guys, have a great time. Enjoy your turn-in. Thanks very much for coming.
Mate, there's a question there from
question,
Carsten.
yeah. From
Carsten Penderson.
Oh, Carsten. Hello, Carsten. How are you? And welcome. A question outside the scope of tonight's subject. When doing a long grain project, each of ours, is it possible to undercut the rim with traditional tools? Yes. I haven't been able to find info on this. It depends how severe the undercut is. I mean, you can do an undercut with a traditional tool. Yes, you can. It depends how deep that undercut is. If it is an undercut like a small opening, and the shape is like that, then I would suggest no, it's not. I might be wrong, but I would suggest no, because you just can't get the tool into the area you need to, and it'd be damn dangerous as well. So you need to get underneath the shoulder, to get the shoulder the same thickness as the rest of the piece, whether it be a vase or a hollow form, whatever. You need some form of a tool with a swan neck. I personally use carbide for my hollowing, but you don't have to. You can use high-speed steel. There are high-speed steel hollowing tools out there as well. But my answer generally, unless other people have other ideas, if you have a small opening, or if the shoulder is fairly deep and you can't get your tool in there, it's a very dangerous practice just working on the wing blind, I would personally say. I wouldn't be happy doing it. What do you say, Pete?
I think swan necks need to be renamed as shoulder cutters.
Yes, I
don't like to see swan necks going down into the vessel. They are really for getting that undercut on the shoulder. And I'm also in the process of switching to carbide. I've been using high-speed steel for years, but I've been convinced. So I'm now using carbide. And I mean, there's various tools that will have an angle on them that you can get in with, and it depends on what you're cutting.
Yes, it does. Very true. Depends on the wood. The thing is, I think people always, well, they don't always say, people say to me, oh, you're against carbide. I'm not against carbide at all. I just like using traditional tools where I can. Having said that, I have tried high-speed steel hollowing tools, and they work. Of course they do. But I find that the carbide, because don't forget the cutters aren't scrapers. They're dished cutters, so they actually take a shaving. And I proved this to myself. I haven't done it on video. I can do a push cut and a pull cut, rubbing the bevel on a carbide cutter, only a 6mm carbide cutter. I mean, you've got to be careful, obviously, but if you approach it the same way as you would using the wing of your bowl gouge, and you're rubbing the bevel and you're just taking the edge, you can get a lovely shaving from a dished carbide cutter. So the answer is they cut the wood, whereas the original carbide scraped. There's no argument there, unless you presented that cutting edge at 45 degrees to the wood, then it would cut, because it will slice. Any edge put up to a piece of spinning wood at 45 degrees will give you a shaving. But 9 times out of 10, the carbide cutters of old, the flat carbide cutters, were doing a scrape and wouldn't leave such a good surface. But the dished carbide cutters leave a really good surface. They need a lot of practice to get a nice smooth finish. That's why I do anyway. I always use the high-speed steel round cutters as a scraper, which they are, just to smooth up the inside of the vessel, that is. to smooth up any tool marks that happen to be there. And again, I'm not doing this for bragging rights, but on this unfinished piece here, you can see the inside is quite smooth. That is a result of doing some scraping with a high-speed steel, but obviously a bit of hand sanding as well. But nevertheless, you get a really good flat surface with those high-speed steel finishing scrapers. Hope that answers your question, Caston. Nigel's saying good luck with that. I won't never do resin again. I've never done resin, never done it, so I got to do it. The thing is, I've got 2 litres, 1 litre of hardener, 1 litre of stuff. It's a 50-50 thing, and I got to use it, obviously. I paid for it, so I got to use it, so I got to try it to see. I don't foresee me becoming another Nick Zametti though, doing resin with everything, or even a Peter Brown. Which funny, Peter Brown was on earlier on, and I mean, he's, God knows, 4,000 miles away in America somewhere, and he told me that there's a problem with the internet in London and surrounding areas that I didn't know, and I live 40-odd miles, 45 miles north of London. And there's a guy 4,000 miles away telling me, well, the reason you've got a bad connection is you've got internet problems in London. That's amazing. Just a quick question before we go. What is the best wood for showing highlighted grain, please? There are so many. There are so many, Anthony. Ash is normally a fairly, not bland, but sometimes the wood is pretty plain. But if you can see here on this piece I did tonight, the grain there has only been polished. It hasn't been enhanced, as I'm going to do the inside, but that's pretty nice grain. It's pretty nice character. Olive ash is very good as well, because that's much darker in the grain and has some lovely feathering. Yew, laburnum, some eucalyptus, and then of course the exotics. So there are a myriad of cherry has got some wonderful grain, not always, but it can have some lovely grain. So it really depends what you're looking at and what you want. If you want to spend on exotics, then the sky's the limit.
I find the trick is, if you want beautiful grain, look for the diseased, the damaged, the broken bit of tree that's healed itself over time before it got cut down.
Yeah,
that's where the pretty bit is.
Totally agree. Sorry, I know about a picture, but I'm just looking for something. Am I going to find it? No, never mind. Oh, I know why, because somebody took it away. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I mean, what Pete is talking about there, if you get spalted wood, that's another bit of ash. That's another bit of ash, another bowl I did, and that's got an OG. Sorry, Pete. That's got some really nice figure in it. But this stuff, that spalted beech, this is very punky, so it does take a lot of time to get a nice surface on it, but it is absolutely stunning when you turn it. But you have to be careful with it. And light cuts and sharp tools. So there are a myriad of different. I mean, I love yew. Yew is it's toxic to turn. You've got to have a respirator on and make sure you've got good air circulation and everything. But it is a stunning wood. Is yew, but there are lots. But I love turning ash. I just love ash. Sometimes when you turn ash, I don't know if that one actually has that. That's not so pronounced. Sometimes you turn ash and you've got a perfectly smooth surface, but it's got a texture, not a texture, it's got a almost like a very soft feeling. It's not perfectly flat, if you know what I mean. And it's got a lovely texture. It's very tactile. But I also like turning ash because it's a nice wood, in my opinion, to turn. A lot of people don't like turning it, and I really don't know why. I really don't know why. It's good to turn wet, and it's good to turn dry. Pete, have you got any
I
see?
would totally agree. I mean, ash is actually quite plentiful at the moment because an awful lot of ash trees are coming down with ash dieback.
Yes, that's right.
It's easy to get. You can turn ash days after it's been felled, and you can get a finished project out of it, which will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Or you can wait till it's dry. And Steve earlier on, Steve Carver, he burnt it, and ash is great for that because the soft grain will burn away more than the hard grain. So you actually get a texture just from burning it and cleaning that off. And I often will burn it and then sand it back so you can't see the burn anymore because you'll get a texture on it. And it's just a lovely wood, lots of versatility.
Yeah.
And again, you get not different varieties. Out of one tree, you can get huge variation in the pattern, the colour.
And the olive ash is absolutely fabulous. That is stunning stuff.
Yeah.
And in fact, olive ash to me is in its own right up there with you, with its figure, because it is. And if you get it right and you cut it right, when I say cut it right, you cut your blank correctly, you can get some really superb figure from it.
So you mentioned turning resin, and the Klondike Craftsman, Lewis, has turned up.
Yeah, hello, Lewis. How are you? Have you ever turned resin, Lewis?
He's done a little bit of it, I think.
Done a bit, yeah. I think you're right there, Pete. I don't mind this carrying on though, because I say it's going to be taken down off YouTube anyway. So if you want to chat a bit longer, I don't mind. I've got a bit of time. Are you all right with that, Pete?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got a beer open, I'm fine.
Yeah. There's still 41 people here. You sad people. It's I always feel a little guilty actually because I tend to leave my lives up because they're sort of not projects, mainly they're sort of Q&A, so it hopefully helps somebody, not just what I say but what Pete and Mark say and what goes on in the chat and everything, and they can be quite informative. But with a project like this, it's the first time I've done a project properly, I think on live, first time I've done a bowl live, and we've had nothing but problems with internet and so on and so forth. But there you go. It's one of life's little trials, isn't it? But I missed it. Yeah, you're lucky, Dieter. Dieter, good evening and welcome. You haven't missed much. You've missed an awful lot of breaks, and you've missed a lot of buffering, and you've missed an awful lot of London having a problem with its internet, basically.
Yeah, this is actually part 4 for one part.
It is, yeah. This is part 4, and we still only turned the outside of a bowl. But if you can manage it, Dieter, 3 weeks Sunday, I'll be finishing that bowl in one hit. It's really annoying. I'm looking at OBS now, and it's a lovely big green square in the bottom. Connection is excellent. Everything is fine. At the end of the night, which is no good.
That's because all the kids are signed off.
I'm glad Rob has said I blame Joseph King. I think you're right, mate. Yeah, Joseph could be blamed for a lot of things.
Well, I blame Mark because it's always Mark's fault, but
Yeah. But okay, guys, I think we have exhausted any questions that might have happened. I'll say again, thank you very much indeed for sticking with us. It's been a bit of a traumatic evening, but we've had a bit of a laugh at the end of it, hopefully. I will see you in 3 weeks' time where we'll finish off this ash bowl. In the meantime, have a lovely 3 weeks, and I will see you then. Take care, and thanks very much for coming. Good night now.
Good night, everyone. Take care.